Alright. Hi there, folks. Sorry about that. It is I, Brendan Wenzel, your guide into all things martial arts cinema related. Why? Because, of course, I know Kung Fu. And it is my glorious return! My glorious and yet somber return, unfortunately. If you watch my exclamation sensation, point 2, you'll know that my absence was largely due to personal issues, just things going on in my life. That whole thing, like I said, so if you are actually interested, please, by all means, go ahead and look up the explanation sensation point 2. Alright, well, you know what? Let's go ahead, let's start with a little good news first. So, some good news, folks. During my absence, turns out that I damn near doubled the amount of subscribers to my little channel here. I went from about 6, I believe I have 10 now. Awesome. I've got a few comments on some of my videos. And one of my videos actually reached and exceeded 100 views. My review for Wrath of Vajra exceeded 100 views. So, congratulations, folks. Not just to me, but to you folks who support me. I appreciate it. I really do. That really does mean a lot. As I've said on my little channel here, even though I'm doing this mostly just for my own fun and love of martial arts cinema, knowing that some of you folks get a kick out of the things that I do definitely makes it better. So, however, with the good news comes the bad news. So, a little background. My intention in doing this review with my glorious return was to review this film, Rivals of the Dragon. Now, you might have noticed, I didn't go boom, which is kind of one of the things that I do, and that is because I'm not going to be reviewing this film. Nope. I intended to review this film as penance for my long absence, because this film, quite frankly, is god fucking awful, and having to sit through and watch it, trust me, folks, would have definitely made up for my time that I was gone. But, unfortunately, the situation changed, and very unfortunately, I had to change course. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you why. In the very early morning, yesterday, Sunday, I was alerted via one of my friends on Facebook, Mr. Patrick Kazutang. Some of you might know him. Kind of a up-and-coming martial arts film star, working mostly out of Thailand. Has been in Raging Phoenix, Fighting Fish, bunch of great films. Very, very cool guy. It's pretty early in the morning. He made the announcement that, very unfortunately, that Master Panna Rittikrai, who, if you follow martial arts cinema, particularly modern martial arts cinema, you may very well know him as being the mentor and really kind of the launch pad for Tony Jaa, and having directed him and action choreography, all that good stuff. He unfortunately passed away yesterday at the age of 53. He had been dealing with liver disease, and he was actually, as I understand it, was actually going through a period of recovery for a little while, but unfortunately, as often tends to be the case with things like this, unfortunately, you have those spurts where it seems like things are going better, and unfortunately, he took a turn for the worse. He was admitted to the ICU, and he passed away. So, as a result of that, I decided, with zero hesitation, that instead of reviewing Rivals of the Dragon, I felt that my penance, which is coming, by the way, I will still review Rivals of the Dragon, would have to wait, and instead I would do whatever little bit I can do here to help honor the memory and the passing of Master Panna Rittikrai. So, I'm instead going to review this film. Boom! See? Gotta watch for the boom. Born to Fight. Yes. Not the Dan Chipong version that came out in the 2000s, though Panna Rittikrai did direct that film. No, this is the original film that Panna himself starred in, and I felt that this would be a great place to start off. Essentially, my mini remembrance, my mini memorial marathon, my MMM for Master Panna. So, I'm going to go ahead, go into that a little bit. I'm going to go into Master Panna, and I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get into the film. So, with that said, a little bit about Master Panna. Fortunately, there isn't, I'm not going to lie, there isn't a ton of information that's been made available, at least here in the U.S., about Master Panna, as far as, you know, any type of, like, a grander biography, excuse me, if you will, to the man, you know, but I'm going to give you what I can. He was born on February 17th, 1961, in Thailand, and he started out in the film industry. He was originally a physical trainer for some of the actors, and pretty quickly kind of figured out, got a handle on what was going on, and, apparently figured, hey, I'm awesome, I could probably do that. So he started up his own stunt team, and pretty quickly after that, found himself, working for major film companies, and somebody spotted him and decided, hey, why not? Let's put him in front of the camera and have him kick the shit out of some folks. Good times. From that point, despite the fact that he probably isn't terribly well known outside of Thailand, outside of maybe his association with Tony Jaa, he actually starred in, or was at least featured in, over 50 films between the early 80s and the late 90s. And he directed quite a few of them. He, in fact, directed this film. He also did the action choreography. At least according to the box. I tried to find out more information on this film, and there's just not a ton of it. Unfortunately, like I said, most of Master Panna's films are not ready to come by here in the U.S. But, like I said, I tried to find out what I could. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna try to get into this. I do apologize that I'm kind of rambling on about this. I really, it seems kind of silly to go over there and, to kind of to feel, to really feel bad about the passing of, somebody who I never met, and, was probably never within, 1,000 miles of the guy, but he... Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get into the film. Okay. Born to Fight. Depending on what source you look into, the film either came out in 1984 or 1986. The back of the box says 1986, IDW says 1984. Which again goes to show you, not really a ton of information on this stuff. But yeah, and like I said, the film was directed by the only Master Panna Rittikrai right here. So that's really all I have as far as information immediately. Literally, if you look up the IMDb page, there's only one other actor listed, and he only has this as his one credit. And if you look up Master Panna, IDW, despite the fact that it actually has in like the trivia on him, it explains that the guy was in 50 plus films. It only has eight of them listed on his IMDb page. And if you go to, though I will say, if you go to the Wikipedia page, they actually do have his films listed, but they're pretty much all the Thai names, which doesn't really help me all that much. But anyway, I'm gonna. Anyway, there goes my my cheat sheet there. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get into the film because I've been rambling. So what time is it, folks? Synopsis. God, I've missed doing that. Anyway, so yes, Born to Fight. What's this film about? Well, like I said, the film stars Master Panna Rittikrai, but the film doesn't start out with that. Starts off with a character called Xiang Fong, who I'm going to go ahead and explain right off the bat, folks, that despite my admiration for this film and Master Panna, that this film is a bit convoluted. And on top of that, I'm not, like I said, there's not, there's really not a lot. I can't, refer to the actors and actresses because most of them aren't fucking listed. So I'm going to improvise names of characters and stuff like that because all I have are, the Thai character names and stuff, and I'm just not going to remember that stuff off the top of my head. So, in any case, Xiang Fong is, effectively, he's a lawyer who works for this wealthy Hong Kong family. And he starts kind of looking through the personal accounts of the family and finds out that the son-in-law of the family has been siphoning funds, and he's going over there and stealing money from the family. Once Xiang Fong has enough evidence, he, of course, wants to tell the family, but before he can get the chance, the son-in-law unleashes the mighty Green Dragons. Green Dragons. I just had to make sure. The reason why I had to make sure is because these gentlemen wear zero green. And I mean, maybe there's some greater significance to it. Maybe it's just a poor translation. I don't know. But they're called the Green Dragons. Who are this, basically a triad group, I guess, who the son-in-law was in cahoots with, and so he sends them to go get Xiang Fong, who Xiang Fong goes over there and basically figures, I better get the fuck out of Dodge real damn quick, because, Green Dragons and all. The Green Dragons, by the way, are excellent, because they're I think there are about 7 of them, I want to say. They're 7 guys who basically their only credit as a gang, I guess, as a criminal entity is the fact that they all wear ski masks. I guess to be ninjas? Maybe? I really don't know. But, sure, why not? Anyway, they show up, they cause some problems. So Xiang Fong goes over there and, I guess he goes, I think it's a friend of the family type of thing, but he goes to, one of his friends, and basically they're like, well, okay, you can't stay here. We'll send you to Thailand. You can go hang out with Uncle Jam. I know it's Thailand, but I have to admit, I kind of wish I had an Uncle Jam. I imagine he'd be a cool guy with the English context. But in any case, So he decides, okay, yeah, we're gonna go get out of Hong Kong. We're gonna go to Thailand. Green dragons show up. They cause some problems because they're green dragons, and when you're 7 guys with ski masks, you're either skiing or you're pseudo ninjas, I guess. I mean, that's probably the case. You're either criminals or you're skiing, I guess. And I know it's an odd tangent to go off on, but I don't know that I've ever seen a skier with an actual ski mask. Like, now to be fair, I don't really ski, and I'm not really in an area known for skiing, but like in all the movies and things that I've seen, I've never really seen much of like the ski mask thing. You know, they always seem to have their face at least partially exposed, but again, weird thing to go off on, but that's kind of what these videos are about, aren't they? Even in light of the tragic loss of Master Panna. I'm sure that Master Panna, were he here, God, I wish he was still here, even if he were here, you know, and if he were in some way, shape, or form aware of my videos, I'm sure he would approve of me having at least a little fun, if not a great deal of fun, in doing a review. So, in any case, yes, he has to get out of there. Siang Fong has to get out of there. So he goes to Thailand to go hang out with Uncle Jam. In the meantime, you've got Panna's character, who I'm just going to call Panna. I just am. So Panna goes over there, and he's a cop, I guess, though to be fair, in the entire film, you never really see. He never once flashes a badge. I don't think he ever really announces himself as being a member of the police force. Like, and it honestly seems like, at least in a few instances, that could have potentially got him out of some trouble. But I don't know. When he enters in the film, he's like kind of, you know, he's doing some martial arts training, and he's training 2 kids who I guess are supposed to be his younger siblings. And, you know, he's just kind of doing his thing, you know, out in the country or something, and all of a sudden, the extreme stunt team shows up. And I'm not even fucking with you. They're 3 guys with basically pantyhose on their head, you know, kind of criminaled up. What? Why doesn't anybody just beat, you know, seriously, you're gonna go over there and commit acts of violence against a guy and his 2 younger siblings out in the middle of the boondocks. Why bother hiding your face? If you're successful in doing this, then certainly it won't matter. And if you decide you're going to do this, the least you could do is not wear your stunt team jacket, where it clearly lists your stunt team on the back. And I have to imagine that this had to have been some sort of concession on Master Panna's point. Like, I mean, because it's just too ridiculous. It's like, you know, I mean, well, even if they were like his own, they may very well have been his own stunt team, now that I think about it. But that is some amazing product placement. I love it, Master Panna. I love it. Now that I really think about that, I love it. I'm gonna have these guys who are gonna have their faces all you know, all hidden and everything. They're gonna show up, beat on some poor little kids, and then Panna Rittikrai is gonna beat the hell out of them. You know, but the whole time they're gonna be wearing very identifiable jackets that just so happen to be part of Master Panna's stunt team. Only because I guarantee it's only because he directed it. When you direct and start it, you can just get away with anything. So anyway, yeah, so they show up. We'll call them the Blue Dragons, for fuck's sake. No, that's too appropriate. They were wearing blue. We gotta stay in the theme of things. Oh, I don't know. They'll be the Red Tigers. Wow. The Red Tigers. Sure, the Red Tigers show up and decide that they're gonna go over there and beat the hell out of Master Panna. And Master Panna, in an excellent display, showing off its many variety of skills. His skills with the katana, in the Thai swords, the Chinese sword, kickboxing, drunken fighting, and all those good things. Puts on an excellent display of ass-kicking and beats the shit out of the brown porcupines, and goes on his day. But, of course, it turns out that these guys were hired by another guy who I guess is sort of like an Interpol-type agent guy, who wanted to test Panna to see if Panna still had the right stuff. I don't know where them going over there and abusing two small children fell into that line of things. Because even if... I understand, you're there to go over there to test Panna, and you're supposed to provoke him into a fight. What better way to provoke him than to go over there and, like, kick his little brother a good, like, 5 feet? I understand that, but I don't know, for me personally, even if I had been paid to do something like that, there has to be another way. I would have drawn the line at, let's go over there and start physically abusing the 12-year-old. Anyway, so that is what it is. But yeah, so, alright, so Panna's gotta go over there. Like I said, Interpol guys like, look, we need you to find Xiang Fong because he's on the run and we have this idea of where he is, and it doesn't matter if you don't want to do it because your boss, who's never shown, because you're probably not actually a cop. Again, zero identification. How much would it have cost? I mean, I know it's a low budget film, but how much would it have cost just for, you could have got away with a sheriff's star if you would have gone over there, put it in a wallet, and flashed it fast enough. It's not like you were fucking fooling with a green dragon ski mask ninjas. Oh, man. But anyway. So, alright, so they go over there, and, with the Mauve Cranes defeated, and the Interpol guy going over there and explaining the situation, Panna sets off. Decides, okay, this is my mission, I have to go do this. So, he needs help, for some reason. So he goes, finds this guy who I guess is like a friend of his. I know he owes him money. The friend owes Panna money, that is. I do not recall the guy's name. I'm going to call him Steve. Yay, Steve. Steve is kind of this weaselly, like, street urchin, owes everybody money for something type of guy, and I don't exactly know why Panna decides that this guy is, like, seminal to the success of his mission, because he really doesn't. My guess is that he's supposed to be, like, the guy who knows the streets, and, he'll fight, but he really doesn't, and he doesn't assist much, besides getting him this really crappy van, which I'm gonna go into that van. Anyway, so, Panna and Steve, they get together, and, they decide they need some wheels. Gotta get some wheels. So, they get this van. I have no idea what the make and model of the van is. I have a friend who's a car guy, and he'll probably end up watching this video, so I'll probably ask him, and maybe I'll let you guys know in a later episode or something. But this thing is just a piece of shit. I love the reason why I had to bring this up is because the damn van is almost a character unto itself. I really do. Panna gets into a fight on it. It stalls all the time. Panna gets thrown off of it. It's just... It really is just like a rolling prop for just anything you need it to do. You probably could have gone over there and like interplaced it with Steve on certain occasions, or gone over there and put a fucking ski mask on it and called it one of the fucking Green Dragons. Oh man, because but anyway, okay, so does it need a name? Yes. Chuck the van. So Steve and Panna go over there and get inside Chuck the van to go find Xiang Fong. And in the meantime, they run into hoodlums. By the way, I did want to mention something else, by the way. There's a scene in there when they're picking the van where Steve's over there hyping the van up, and he's like, no, man, I totally rode in this van, and it's like, it drives well, it gets good gas mileage, all that. And in the very next scene, you see the van, like, clunking along, and of course, it's meant to be funny. Interesting, I'm not even going to call it a fun fact exactly, but explanation as to why the van maybe wasn't as good as advertised, because it's not the same van. You can clearly see that there's, like, orange markings on the one van that they got, and there's blue markings on the other one. It's probably the same general make and model, and I guess that's what they figured, but I paid attention. This is probably, like, the fourth or fifth time I've watched this film. So, I mean, it took me that long to figure it out, but, yeah. So, that's probably why it wasn't quite as good as advertised, because you apparently decided to choose a completely different van. I wish, by the way, with the Dan Chupong version of this film, I wish that they would have gone over there and actually done like an honest remake. Because if you've never seen the Dan Chupong version of this film, which, by the way, check it out. That is an awesome film too. There are a few scenes in the film where there's some pretty cool stuff going on, and that tie kind of like the action kind of ties in between the two films, like certain scenes. But in terms of story, the films are completely different. And I wish they would have done like a more honest remake of Panna's film, because I would have loved it. Not that I didn't love Dan Chupong's version as well, but in any case, so. Okay, from this point this is where it really starts getting kind of convoluted. Basically, aside from the Green Dragons, and Interpol, and Steve, and Chuck the Van, and Uncle Jam, and Xiang Fong, there's this whole other kind of like subplot that sort of takes over the film at the end, where there's like a dispute over this plot of land between Uncle Jam and then I guess like his nephew and his dad, who I think are criminals or something. I don't really know. But there's like a dispute between them, and then as it just so happens, Uncle Jam's nephew, like I guess Uncle Jam's brother, happens to look almost exactly like Xiang Fong, which leads to this whole, like, Green Dragons go to hunt down Xiang Fong, they end up getting his dad instead, kind of thing. It really gets sort of odd there, near the end. I'm not gonna lie, like, despite the tragic passing of Master Panna, I'm not gonna go over there and sugarcoat this film. It's, Master Panna himself, is even quoted as saying, that, obviously I'm paraphrasing here, but it's something to the effect that, his films really weren't terribly well known, that, they're, taxi drivers and coolies tend to be big fans of his films, So I think even he understood that, his films were meant to be taken for what they were, and not in any higher regard. But so okay, so the film progresses from that point, and yes, I know I'm at 30 minutes, and yeah, I'm gonna go for a while. And if you don't like it, you can go fuck yourself. And I'm gonna be doing special features, by the way. I'm gonna let you know right now after this. I know I'm just completely out of order on things, but I don't care. It's been a while since I've done this. So anyway, like I said, it gets kind of convoluted at the end, and then you have this whole thing where Xiang Fong, gets captured by the green dragons. I did want to mention there's this one guy I love who works for Uncle Jam's brother's organization. This older guy who goes around. He's got this he's an older guy. He's got pink shirt, khaki pants, khaki shorts rather. And he's over there. He has this awesome scene in the film where he's hanging out with all these other kind of I guess minor gangsters, as it were. They don't get a nickname because they weren't covering their faces. But he's over there just kind of, selling himself up to all these kind of younger guys, he's showing them, his clothes and everything, how, he's kind of high class. I don't know how a pink shirt, khaki shorts, attunes to high class, but it's Thailand in 1980 something. I guess that worked. But he's over there, he's got this great scene where he's just, he's over there, he's just what I like to do when I'm not doing other stuff? He's like, what's that, boss? He's like, I like to strut. I love it, man! Oh my god. Again, I wish they would have done a more honest remake, because I would have loved to have seen that guy in a modern representation. Just this old guy over there with a bunch of guys half his age is yep, I like to strut. It's awesome. It's the most honest thing you could ever say. So anyway, so like I said, it ends up with this whole thing with the mistaken identity thing, and Uncle Jam's brother gets kind of taken by the green dragons, but then they release him. They kind of beat him up, rough him up a little bit, but they release him when they realize he isn't the guy they're looking for, and he survives. Not that it really matters. And so then it all comes down to they manage to capture Xiang Fong because the old woman who was guarding him dropped the ball, I guess. And so it all ends up in this awesome fight out in this kind of burned out building. I guess it was maybe a farmhouse or something, or maybe it was just a set that they made for them to destroy. Kind of out in the middle of things, and Steve's over there being Steve, and he's ha ha ha, and so it's Steve, Panna, and then the girl who originally brought Xiang Fong here. I'm not even going to really talk about her, because she doesn't do anything of any significance, in my opinion, so I wish I could care about her, but I don't. So, they're over there, and the green dragons are all in their ski mask infamy. If you ran into the fucking green dragons and these idiots showed up, you'd just be like, oh, but so they go over there. Of course, it has to end up in this big epic throwdown. What better way to start a big epic throwdown? Let's kill Steve. Let's get that fucking nuisance out of the way. To be fair to Steve, he does die, sort of valiantly, kind of well, I don't know, did he die valiantly or not? Because I'm thinking back, I initially was going to say, he died kind of blocking effectively a knife attack, which he did, sort of, but I don't think he really was. I think they were actually aiming at him, not at Panna or anybody important, so. To Steve, in memoriam, he died the way he lived, trying and failing to be a race car driver, and unfortunately chucked the van. Doesn't really get a lot more play. I forgot to mention, there is a scene that is definitely worth mentioning, a little bit early in the film. I know I'm kind of getting things out of place, but, like I said, the end really does just get sort of convoluted, and so I'm sort of, like, rambling through the scenes. There is a scene at the end of the film, though, or not at the end, but near the end of the film, where, Panna is getting chased by these motorcycle guys, and you can see, I will say this, well, no, I'm going to go into that later, but anyway, he's getting chased by these motorcycle guys, and there is a stunt in there that is just so awesome on Master Panna's part, where he basically runs his motorcycle into a moving truck, gets flung off the damn bike head first, slides over the top of the truck, and then comes down on the ground. You know, I mean, it is awesome. That stunt alone is worth watching the film, in my opinion. But, so, in any case, the Green Dragons in all of their nonsense. So, like I said, it ends up with this whole big throwdown, and they're going to go over there and beat some ass and all that good stuff. And, of course, Panna's, winning because these guys are idiots. They're not, and I will say, like, I keep calling them idiots and stuff like that. They're not played to be funny or anything, but you can't help but chuckle when you see, like, 7 guys in ski masks, and they're supposed to be, like, this evil triad group, and they just don't seem intimidating, really, at all. But, yeah, so anyway, Panna kicks their ass, saves Xiang Fong, Steve dies, Chuck the Van was killed 2 days before retirement, and the chick just, I don't know, she doesn't really do anything. But anyway, so that's essentially the film. I really can't, 37 minutes. Anyway, alright, so I'm going to try to go into this pretty quick here. So, okay, what exactly do you take away from the film? I do want to mention one other thing, by the way, that I realized when I was kind of doing my little write-up for this whole thing. The son-in-law who caused all this bullshit to begin with, at the very beginning of the film, who was siphoning money, all that stuff, he gets away. He just does. Like, he's never mentioned again. Nobody ever beats his ass or anything. Like, they arrest the Green Dragons at the end, but they really never, I guess maybe they're going to tie it back to him or something, but he just never shows up again. So, I can't even really say that he's, like, actively the villain of the film or anything. I guess it was just meant to be the Green Dragons. But anyway. So, okay, let's do some good and bad on this film here. Good. Master Panna. Way up here. Way the hell up here. But I'm going to go into it. Master Panna really is, he was a guy who, like I said, he kind of got into things, watching Jackie Chan, watching Jet Li, seeing what they did, and kind of, figuring, hey, I can do these things too, and on top of that, I can do some of them better, he really does. This is the advantage that you have of having a guy who is, not only directing the film, but starring in the film, but also who's doing all the choreography and is doing the stunt work himself. He doesn't have to go over there and look to a stunt guy, to say, hey, I'm just, to go do a stunt. And like I said, like I said with the motorcycle and the truck, he pulls some really awesome stunts in this film, and really gets the shit kicked out of him. I'm sorry I'm looking, I know I shouldn't be getting distracted, but it's literally the second cop car that drove right outside my house, or it just went back around in a circle, because my neighborhood does that. But anyway, I know that's, like, again, weird thing to get at, but it's a little odd. So anyway, but aside from that, even if you can't omit the stunts are awesome, but, just, I guess this ties into the action, but I'm gonna tie it specifically to Master Panna in this instance. Panna Rittikrai really did, even though he did come up, something at a similar time with Jackie Chan and having that influence, he managed to do what Jackie and what Jet were doing, but he managed to do it with a uniquely Thai aesthetic to his movements and to his fights. He could go over there and do the drunken boxing and go over there and use a katana and do all that, but he was also going to bust out the dual Thai swords, and his kicks were more in tune, less so with kind of the pseudo kickboxing that you got with with Jackie during films around that same time, and it was more Muay Thai oriented, and it gave it a really, it's really unfortunate that that Master Panna didn't have a greater range when he was actually starring and acting in these films more, because he really did have his own unique take on the action, and in certain ways it imitated guys like Jackie and Jet, but in other ways it was uniquely his, which is the mark of a great professional. So yeah, there's that. Like I said, the stunts, even aside from Master Panna, you got to give full credit to his stunt team in the film. They just take a fucking kicking and they keep on. No, that's not right. They take a lick and they keep on kicking. Yeah, that sounds right. That didn't sound right the first time, but anyway. But yeah, the stunts are great. Like I said, the action's awesome. Master Panna is great. The bad. Like I said, I'm a pseudo consummate reviewer, so I'm not, even in spite of events, I'm not going to go ahead and sugarcoat it. The film, the bad, is the story is convoluted as fuck. The villain gets away. The Green Dragons are miserable. Steve is annoying, and I liked it when he died. Most of the characters are almost utterly pointless. The whole latter half of the film with the mistaken identity thing and all that made no goddamn sense, really. You could have had a much more straightforward film and not... bad comedy, bad 1980s comedy, Thai comedy. I guess I don't even know. I'm not even going to bring up the acting because I don't really know how to gauge that. 1980s Thai acting. I don't know how to gauge it. I don't have a lot of reference points to go off of, but, the production quality's slim. You know what, though, I will say this. Another thing in the good part kind of is that. The production quality thing. In that it does have that kind of cool, sort of like homespun feel to it. You get the feeling like, if you knew enough people, you could probably have made most of this film, like, out in a field somewhere, and not really had to have changed locations much. But that's actually kind of fun. It kind of comes... I guess this is, kind of the overview to a certain extent. I guess that's the good and the bad. But that's kind of the great thing, I guess, about the film, is that it's sort of a Thai chop sake film. If you're not familiar with chop sake films, these were low-rent kung fu films that were made out in fields, usually in Taiwan, that didn't have big budgets or anything like that, and were usually convoluted, but tended to have great action, and they were just assloads of fun, and that's what this film is, fundamentally. It's a Thai chop sake film. The story is, again, just asinine, and you know, it has a lot of problems. You know, so I would suggest if you decide to watch the film, which I really recommend you do if you're a fan of the genre, you don't go into it too seriously. That way lies madness. Instead, enjoy it for what it is, which is, you know, just a fun little bullshit film, you know, that was probably made for all of $500 US, with an awesome van, and Steve, and the green dragons, and the villain gets away, and the whole damn thing. I guess that's like I said, I guess that's what you take away from the film. You know, and I will say this, you know, I'm doing this review right here. I'm doing this, you know, literally the day after I found out that Master Panna passed away. And I will say, as I'm sure that I am by no means the only person who decided, you know, that in light of his passing, that you know, maybe it was time to go over there and dust off some of his films if you hadn't watched them recently, you know, to go through. And I'm sure that I'm not the only person who, you know, got maybe a mite teary-eyed, you know, watching Master Panna, you know, because you really do get to see a guy, you know, in his prime, you know, just doing these incredible things, you know, and knowing where he was going to go with that, you know, with his mentorship of Tony Jaa, and even his later acting roles with, you know, Dynamite Warrior, Bangkok Knockout, you know, and then at the same time also knowing that, you know, he, you know, died at, you know, much too young, you know, and was taken by, you know, something so, you know, just so, you know, I don't even have a word for it, but, you know, so, I guess, I'm gonna be close to 50. You know what? I don't care. I really don't care, folks. You know, I really wish that, you know, like I said, I mean, I wish I could be more professional about this or something, but I can't. You know, in light of this, there have been, in just recent years, there have been a number of pretty significant passings in martial arts cinema community, and you know, being hit by this one definitely was a real kick to the head, because, you know, whereas Lau Kar Long, you know, Master Lau Kar Long, you know, he passed away, you know, he was, you know, it certainly was a shock, but he'd been sick for quite some time, and, you know, and then, you know, he was an older gentleman, and then, you know, Run Shaw, you know, another individual who passed away, you know, he was over 100 years old. You know, with Panna, you know, with the guy, I mean, only being 53 years old, I mean, I think I myself, and I'm sure some of you, if you watch these films, you know, I'm sure that you know, probably thought to yourself, you know, man, I can't wait till, you know, Tony gets to go over there and square off against, you know, Master Panna, you know, in one of these newer films, you know, and unfortunately that's just not going to be the case. So I know that this review has run long. I know that it's been a little all over the place, and I know that I've been up and down as far as my mood in relation to things. And so for that, I do apologize, but I hope you'll, you know, kind of indulge me on this, because, like I said, I really do feel this one, you know, this came as a really big shock. You know, that he, you know, a guy, again, when you watch this film, you know, and you see a guy, you know, just go over there and do all these incredible things, and, you know, who came out of this, excuse me, who came out of this whole thing, you know, with nary a scratch on him, you know, that, again, you know, that he could pass away so young, you know, from something so trivial, I guess. But anyway, so okay. Where does it stand on the scale? By the way, if you watched my previous review from quite some time ago, you might have noticed I didn't do a scale on that one because I forgot. And I was going to do one with this one, but given the length and all that, I don't really quite have time. But I will do that one eventually. In any case, where does it stand on the eternal scale with the bottom of the rung being Ninja Vengeance? By the way, I've been calling it Ninja Revenge since I started this, and it's Ninja Vengeance. I feel so bad. But yes, it's Ninja Vengeance, with the bottom being Ninja Vengeance. How far down is Ninja Vengeance? It's not quite so far down as Michael Bay's Soul. It isn't quite so far down, but it's close. And the top, let's have a 10. What's a 10? I was going to say a 10 would be Master Panna still being here, but that's well above a 10. A 10 would be that in his passing, that Master Panna really gains the recognition that he really so ardently deserved for his impact on the martial arts cinema industry, throughout his entire career, and particularly in the last 10 years or so. And hopefully that'll be the case. Where does this film stand? I'm going to go ahead and say, I'll give it a 7.2, I guess. What exactly is a 7.2? It's 7.2 would be if, in Master Panna's passing, if any good could come out of any of this, maybe some of his other films could be released internationally. I guess that's a 7.2. It's probably higher than 7.2, but that's my analogy for it. So yeah. So because this is run very, very long, almost an hour now, I'm going to go ahead and end this. So, because when the Battle Warrior comes at you with the hard gun and teams up with the Spirited Killer, well, then you might need the Dynamite Warrior to help obtain, well, there's no final thing there, but to obtain victory. Dynamite Warrior was the last reference on there. Like I said, it's been a little while, folks. Anyway. So why is that the case? Well, because of course, folks, I'm Brandon Wenzel. I watch martial arts movies, and I review martial arts films. Why? Because I love these things. Rest in peace, Master Panna. I know Kung Fu. And yeah, that's the end. That's the end, folks. Again, rest in peace, Master Panna. Alright, folks, have a good one. Again, I'm going to be doing a special features for this, which I probably could have done half the things in this review and that. But anyway,